Good morning, dear children. Welcome back once again. So far we have discussed the various things, such as about the past, the people, how they lived their lives, where they settled down, right? And then the next part we discussed was finding out about the past. How do we know about the past? So many things we got answers to. Where people settled, how did India derive its name? Okay, so we need to know then how do we know about the past? All right, and then in the last class, already we discussed about two ways of knowing the past, right? I hope you all remember what are the two ways of knowing the past. One is manuscript. Okay, as you can see here, the two ways of two sources of knowing the past is manuscript, and one was inscription that was done on stone and metal. All right, so what are manuscripts? I think by now you already know these are books written by hand, okay, on very soft surfaces. What are these surfaces? Either on palm leaves or on the bark of the birch tree. All right, and then when it comes to inscriptions, of course inscriptions survive longer, and manuscripts, comparative manuscripts, inscriptions survived longer because manuscripts were written on very soft surfaces, and then over the years they were eaten by insects. Okay, but then inscriptions, since they were written on hard surfaces, so they are surviving for longer time. Okay, but then you see, apart from the two sources that we have discussed, like manuscripts and inscriptions, as you can see here, there are so many other sources from which we can know about the past. What are these other sources? These other sources are remains of buildings, paintings and sculpture, tools, weapons, pots and pans, alright, ornaments, coins, bones and bones of animals, birds and fish, and charred pieces of wood and grains of seed. Okay, so to our question of what, where, how, and when. All right, to all these questions, how do we get to know the answers? It is by looking into these sources. These are the sources that speaks about what happened in the past. All right, and as you can see here, all these together are called the source to study the past. So if you get a question, what are the ways by which you can study the past? So we have around 11 points: manuscripts, inscriptions, remains of building, okay, tools, weapons, coins, bones, charred pieces of wood and grains of seed, etc., etc. Right? So next, already we have discussed about the manuscript, and this is one image taken from your textbook. See, it's an image of a manuscript which is written on the palm leaf. All right, and thousand years ago. All right, and then we see that this is how the people used to write. Okay, either on the palm leaves or on the bark of the birch tree. All right. Then next we see that the second source of knowing the past that we discussed yesterday is inscription. All right, and as you could see here, the inscriptions are, you see the picture clearly, you can see that it, it's a hard surface like a metal. In this case, maybe this is a metal, or sometimes it's even stone. All right, where some scripts are engraved. All right, and this is one very popular, very famous, in fact, inscription. All right, about 2250 years ago. About 2250 years ago, this inscription was found at Kandahar, which is in present day Afghanistan. All right, and then it was inscribed on the orders of the ruler, okay, Ashoka. This inscription was inscribed, or things were engraved, scripts were engraved on this metal surface on the instruction of the ruler Ashoka, about whom we are going to study in our coming chapters. Okay, so then apart from this, we see that there are so many other sources from which we can know the past. And then when we are talking of remains of buildings, when we are talking of remains of buildings that is made of stone and brick, okay, painting, sculpture, alright, pots and pans. How are these things found? These things are found either lost somewhere under the ground, alright, and we see that there are some people, specially, they are trained, to excavate. Excavate means to dig the ground. You see, these are the people who excavate or dig the ground, okay, dig the surface of the earth to find things like this. What do they find? Tools, weapons, pots and pans. You see, this is very interesting. Even the kitchen utensils, alright, speaks about a story of the past, right? Everything, even the ornaments that the woman wore, or maybe even the man wore, alright, that speaks about the past, alright. And the people who were involved in excavating, or the people who dig the surface of the earth to find clues, okay, or to find some hint to know the past, they are called the archaeologists. So who are archaeologists? They are the people who are specially trained, okay, to excavate or dig under the surface of the earth, okay, and to find tools, weapons, ornaments, or various sources which have been hidden under the ground, okay, that speaks about the past. Alright, so we have so many sources. Then next, when we are talking, you see, we see another image here from your textbook, a pot. Okay, this is a pot from an old city. Alright, and many pots like these were used about 4,700 years ago. See, pots and pans. Alright, maybe when we will study about the Mohenjo-daro civilization, Harappan cities, okay, we will see that how this kind of buildings, remains, and then pots, pans speaks about the activities of the people. Alright, so we see that these are some of the remains that have been excavated, alright, from the surface of the earth, and that speaks about the past. And on this side, as you can see, these are the images of some coins that were used during that time. Alright, these are some of the images of the coins, okay, that were used during that time. See, how is it how is it very different from the ones that we use today? The one that we use today have perfect shape, isn't it? And then you see like as some certain things are engraved here. Alright, so you have a very interesting question here. In what ways is the coin that we use today differ from the ones that were used in the early days? See, in what ways is the coin different from the ones we use today? This is one activity, alright, this is one question that you will try to answer in your notebooks. Okay, in what ways is the coin different from the ones we use today? And then you can make it further interesting. Collect some pictures if you can. You can search in the net, collect some pictures of the coins which are used in the earlier days. Alright, paste them. You can paste the images of those in your notebook, and then you can write this answer. In what ways is the coin different from the ones that we use today? You will find variety. You will find a lot of differences. Okay. Then next, when we are talking of the archaeologist, you see, the archaeologists also look for bones of animals. Alright, the archaeologist also looks for the bones of animals, birds, and fish. Why? Even the bones of animals, birds, and fish has a story to tell of the past. What is the story? It helps in finding out what people ate in the past. Okay? Even we get to know about the food habits of the people in the past. When archaeologists, suppose in a particular site, the archaeologists get lots of bones of animals, birds, fish, that says that in that area, the people who settled down in that area, they are the ones who had this kind of food habit of taking lots of non-veg items. Or maybe in another site where the archaeologists dig the surface of the earth, and then they find that there are some charred pieces. There are some seeds of grains or pieces of wood, especially the seeds of grain, maybe in charred form. Alright, and nothing else, no bones of fish, birds, etc., etc., only mostly the seeds of grain. That also has a story to tell. Maybe in that area, the people food habit was purely vegetarian. Yes, see, so interesting, isn't it? So for the archaeologists, it's like their work is like the detectives. All right, when they dig, when they excavate the ground, okay, with lots of expectations, what would come out. All right, and they are expert by looking at those sources. They get to know, they infer what had happened in the past. All right, and then when we are talking of historians, see, historians, who are historians? Historians are scholars. Historians are scholars who study the past and often use the word source to refer to the information found from these things. So who has termed the word source? It is the historians. Alright, for the historians, manuscripts, then inscriptions, remains of building, pots, pans, coins, ornaments. What are these? These are their source to know the past. Okay, so once sources are found, alright, they can find out what had happened in the past. Alright, they try to study about the past. See, once sources are found and they can learn about the past, and learning about the past becomes quite adventurous. Alright, and then bit by bit, right, like it's like a game of puzzle. When you have a puzzle game, you have to suppose put up all the jumbles, or yes, letters, and then make a word. Okay, so for the archaeologists, the work is like that. They get, maybe in one place they are getting a piece of wood, charred wood. In another close nearby side, they are getting some bones of birds. Maybe they are getting some remains of some old building. All right, so they bit by bit they join the things and they try to make a relation and then study the past. So we see that the historians and the archaeologists, they are like detectives. They make use of this source like clues. The detectives. How do the detectives work? I think you all are very fond of the detective shows, isn't it? You say, how do the detective works? They always look for some clues. Alright? And then once they get the clues, they start, reframing a story. What might have happened? Alright? And generally they are not wrong, isn't it? So similarly, we find the historians and the archaeologists. Once they find such kind of sources, they reconstruct the story, what had happened in the past. And generally they are not wrong because they are expert in that field. Alright, so when we are getting answers to so many questions like what, where, how and when, okay, where do we get these answers from? We get these answers from the various sources, okay, of history. What are these various sources? Manuscripts, inscriptions, tools, weapons, ornaments, etc., etc. Okay, so you are given a question for today, an activity based question. You will do that, and reading your textbook is very important. Read the part so far we have discussed. That's all for today, children. Thank you.